not able to articulate to other people what it is that we're feeling. We can um, demonstrate behaviors, that says to other people, "Oh, maybe she's mad," but in reality,
Mhm.
maybe it's not that I'm really mad or angry. Maybe I'm frustrated or I'm sad, but it looks like anger. So I would say, in terms of feeling, in order to heal, we need to first and foremost identify what that feeling is. And we do that by spending time with ourselves. When you ask the panel what did they work on, what was their emotional homework for the week, that was certainly mine, was to be more in tune with what it is that I'm feeling. And that requires sometimes taking a pause, allowing yourself to get quiet within your spirit so that you're able to identify what you're feeling. Once we're able to identify what we're feeling, then we can move on to healing. And then we have to give ourselves permission to feel what it is that we are feeling. Give yourself permission to be angry for a moment. Give yourself permission to be sad for a moment, because as I always say each and every show, it's okay to not be okay.
So, from your perspective as a mental health therapist, why is it so difficult for many of us, especially Black women, to give ourselves permission to pause and feel?
That's a very good question, Miss Black. And again, that's one of those questions that could definitely take up about two or three shows, if not one. But I'll try my best to put out an answer. And I want to say hello to the guests that are joining us on tonight. I'll try my best to give us somewhat of a condensed um, answer. So, I'll have to answer it from a cultural perspective, and I happen to be a therapist that is culturally cognizant, because the majority of the people that I work with are from the African American culture. But as a culture, when we start to examine the disparities that we experience as a culture, as a people, and there are many. I oftentimes, when I'm asked to grace a platform and I talk about Black people in antiquity and our experience and what has happened to us, I like to talk about that subject because it explains where we are in the present. But due to some of the psychological disparities that we faced and are still facing, because there are many of those things that we had not properly identified and properly taken the time to heal from those things. Those disparities are things that constantly can cause us to suppress what it is that we are feeling. Let me try to make this a little bit more practical. As human beings, we want to be, quote, good people. We want to be good people, especially if you're in the faith-based community. We want to be good people. We don't
Yeah.
want to talk about bad things, all of that. Okay, so we tend to not discuss or talk about traumatic things, and we use other kinds of language in order to cover those things up, and
Yeah, it's like a defense mechanism.
we do ourselves a disservice when we do that. And so one of the disservices that we do to ourselves is that when we suppress ourselves, because we have been oppressed and suppressed, when we suppress ourselves, it causes us not to be able to deal with the reality of the problem or the situation. So I would say, in a short answer, greatly due to many of the social disparities that as a culture that we faced in antiquity, and many of the social disparities that we face now, those are things that add to reasons why we are oftentimes very, very suppressed people and don't give ourselves permission to have a voice and to talk about what it is that is going on with us, what has gone on with us, what is bothering us, what has bothered us, that we see in our family, because certainly we see whole generations of families who have made it a habit, which turned into a behavior of not talking about things. Where we, as a Black culture, we get the most famous saying, and if I started off, I guarantee that every person of color would be able to finish this sentence. What goes on in this house? And everybody would say, what would everybody say? Stays
Stays in
where?
his house.
We
Mhm.
all